Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Every single day, without fail, I wake up in a certain amount of pain and discomfort. And no, it's not just because I'm older. And you might be able to relate to this. So it's never welcome, but it's never unexpected either. And to be sure, I am not a morning person. I've always hated waking up in the morning. It always feels like my body is betraying me, and I just want 5 more minutes or maybe 10. But it's not just that lately. It goes deeper than that. There's a certain amount of physical pain and discomfort, which I can't just chalk up to being older. My guts hurt if I do like this, scan of my entire body and my head starting with my toes, up the top of my head. I find an ache or a pain in just about every single part of my body. And the thing about it is, to a large degree, this is self-inflicted, not in a malicious way, but I've been less diligent, not very diligent at all, about maintaining my health as of late, and not maintaining a healthy diet, a healthy lifestyle, exercising when I should, all that sort of stuff. And so a lot of the pain and discomfort I feel is because of my own actions or inactions. And that, of course, always doesn't feel that good either when you have that realization. But there's other pain that I wake up to. And, it happens when it's a work day. And I realize, oh man, I'm going to have to go to this job. And this job that doesn't, not only does it not pay enough, but it's not aligned with who I am. I don't care about what I'm doing. A lot of times I don't like what I'm doing. And, what the job does, what the company does isn't necessarily aligned with, my values. And it's certainly not a passion. And what I'm trading for this paycheck is the most valuable asset I have, which is time. And I've got a lot more time behind me than I have in front of me. And, there's that certain amount of existential dread of realizing I'm going to be spending most of my waking hours there. And and it's going to drain my energy. So I have that constant pain. And once again, that is to a certain sense self-inflicted. I realize I could have made different choices years ago that would have landed me in a different place. And once again, emotionally, that takes its toll. And then the last pain, I looked at my finances today when I got up. I was, checking something about a bill that was coming up. And I realized I might not have enough money coming in this month, despite the fact that music gigs have picked up because it's spring and almost summer, to pay everything. And so that amount of financial insecurity, really takes a hold. And so these are all familiar pain points. And once again, that's something that, man, if I had done things a little bit differently, I might not be in this situation. And so all three of these pains that I wake up to, this discomfort, they all have three things in common. They're things that I can actually change. I can't go back and live my life differently, but I have, what can I do now? So I can make a change in any of those areas. The second thing is that they're all very central areas of my life. They would have, or paying attention to those things, would have the biggest impact on my quality of life in so many areas, in terms of just having more energy to do the things I want to do, or the money to do the things I want to do, or be able to spend with the people that I love, or more time, or just be able to enjoy what I'm doing and feel fulfilled, all these kind of things. And be able to do it because I'm physically able to, and not keeling over, all those things, different parts of my life, I would be able to enjoy and participate in more fully, and be more satisfied if I took care of those three things. And the other thing about all of them is that any kind of change in those areas is slow. It is not something that happens overnight. And I have a lot of experience with that in recovery. I have made huge positive changes in my life. And the quitting of alcohol and all other drugs, was an immediate thing and had immediate results. And later on, 8 months later, quitting smoking cigarettes had an immediate result. However, the rest of it was very slow, one day at a time work, learning how to navigate life differently, learning how to handle my emotions, learning how to rebuild my life and, reforge connections with people, put, not only my life together bit by bit, but just my mental health, all those sorts of things. That is a work in progress. And change comes slowly. It comes over time, not overnight. Very cliche, but very, very true. So I have experience with that. I have experience with losing weight and being in good shape. So I know what I need to do that. But not only that, I have the evidence, I have the experience of doing that, which is makes it a lot easier. I can beat myself up, which serves no purpose. And oh man, I can't believe I got here again. But I know that I can make those kind of changes and that they're slow, but the results actually happen. It's different when it comes to choosing a vocation or purposely living with purpose in terms of what do I do for a living, and also with making more money. Because the only way I've ever really made more money in the past was working lots and lots of hours to the point where it was very unhealthy. And still, once again, I'm trading my time for dollars, and then I can't really enjoy life at all. So that's all uncharted territory for me. It's something that, in theory, I should be able to do, but I don't have the experience, so I don't have the confidence, even though I know that essentially it's the same sort of thing. It's going to happen slowly. All the examples I see from other people, it's going to happen slowly over time. You can take a certain amount of direction from other people, but then again, if I want to make it my own, well, I've got to forge my own way to a certain extent and to figure out what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And things like failure, because of my past, because of trauma, blah, 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 all those kind of things, I take it a lot more personally. And I still have to work on being more okay with that. But I know what's scarier. What's scarier than making those changes is not making those changes. And what if, 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, or 15 years from now, or 27 years from now, I should live that long. I should live that long. Or 57 years from now. If I don't change anything, well, I'm going to be in the same spot or worse. So not making those changes is scarier. If I just think about if I hadn't made the decisions I made 12 and a half or more years ago in terms of recovery, where would I be now if I was even alive, which is doubtful. So, I have the experience of making those kind of changes. And so despite the scary proposition of, doing something different for a vocation and being more of my own boss or whatever I happen to end up doing that works and sticks, and having that kind of freedom and not having the security of a steady paycheck, if you will. Despite all that kind of insecurity, and even, can I do this? Am I just an imposter? Despite all of that, the fear of not doing that is greater. And, I know I can make changes in my life that have huge impacts. And I can remove those 3 pain points, which I'm really sick of waking up in that kind of discomfort day after day and having those things keep me up at night and making me feel bad about myself. I don't know if you can relate to that sort of thing. It's definitely not too late to make the change you want to see in your life, which I made a video about, which maybe you should go watch. Maybe I should take my own advice. Take it easy, kids. Talk to you later.